research output that these fellows are going to churn out. We want people who can be able to churn out tangible outputs that can help these economies, can be able now to churn out intellectual property that can be able even to be scaled up, being able to be linked with, for example, venture capitalists, be able to be linked with our partners, for example, Kenya Bovax, to scale them up and lead to manufacturing to help this nation. So these are research specialist training programs that are research-led and are able now to produce tangible research outputs that can help this economy and not only the country, but also the region.
I see. So has it happened? Is it happening? When is it happening? Yeah, the conferment.
Okay. Yeah. So later on I'll speak about the process, but as of now, we are due for the conferment. Okay. We are yet to get the data around that, but you're working now towards, and you've met all the required statutory obligations, legal obligations to be able to be conferred as such. Okay.
Because I know one of the questions top of mind would be, especially for the people who are watching us, would be like, hey, so how do I apply and when and how do I get to be a part of it? But we'll talk about it in just a second. But you want to add something? Yes, go ahead, Professor.
If I may, because people may wonder whether then KEMRI is competing with other the local universities or the public universities. First, just to clarify that the University Act allows for two types of degree awarding institutions. There's just the normal regular university, and then there are institutions that are not regular universities that will be allowed to have specialized degree awarding status. I think currently, besides KEMRI, the only other institution that has is the Armed Forces University, which is is offering specialist training in the defense sector. So I just wanted to clarify that so that it's clear that it's also within the legal structures of the University Act of the country.
Yeah, because that was going to be my question at some point, the policies and the sort of like legalities around it, because we tend to question, those things. But when you're looking at research, we have brilliant researchers right here in the country, but majority of the times we see them go abroad, either to study or even when it comes to practice. So how important is this degree conferment, especially to the researchers here in the country? Do you want to tackle that, Professor? Yes.
First, I think, and again, thank you very much for also hosting us. Any country that has really developed and become a competitive global economy has built it on the back of science, research, and innovation. There's no country, and if I may put this back politely, if we're going to go to Singapore, you know how Singapore reached Singapore? Singapore reached Singapore by building on science, technology, and innovation. And we here are part of that, trying to help Kenya on that journey. And the primary starting point for building really a good and vibrant and dynamic research ecosystem is the quality of your training. The type of training you deliver is the type of people you'll generate. Those will then determine the type of science that they will be delivering. And so this capacity, the challenge has been to date that KEMRI has been offering opportunities for people registered in other universities, local and international, to train within KEMRI. But KEMRI itself does not have a charter. So it means that at a certain point, the people sometimes you're training, you no longer have control on what happens beyond, once they've done their project, where their thesis go, where their, the background to that is not controlled by KEMRI. And yet we have a lot of opportunity. We have some of the best labs in sub-Saharan Africa. We have some of the best health systems training, research facilities, whether it is clinical trials and all that. So now what KEMRI is getting is the power not only to train, but also to provide all the quality controls and finally the accreditation, the certificate. That means KEMRI is in control of the whole pipeline from recruitment to graduation. It doesn't at some point lose control of that training process.
I see that. Yes, go ahead.
I would like to echo that because it's really important, and I represent sort of one of the many international partnerships that KEMRI has with international partners, and I represent the Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine. And the Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine and the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine are very similar institutes that they focus primarily on research and then became a degree awarding power and became part of the higher education institute. So not a university, but very similar to what KEMRI is becoming now. And it was very helpful to, especially to ensure that you retain promising master students and that they can see a career path in front of them. So you go from masters to PhD to post.
As well, and how that not compares, but sort of like strengthens when you're looking at the international community as well, because majority of the times is usually a standard thing. You know, usually the question on the standard of what you're offering versus what is being offered out there. So I don't know how this,
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. And I'll still speak a little bit about the capabilities that we have before I build on how unique our training programs are. And as I mentioned earlier on, and even to reinforce that, since establishment, since 1979, the Kenya Medical Research Institute has been able to build that research capacity over time. And as of today, we have 15 research centers which are distributed all across the country. We have fully fledged and well-tested clinical trial systems, platforms rather, that have been able even to churn out vaccines and other health products that are currently being used not only in the country but also in the region. We have also been able now to also enhance that training that I mentioned about with our local and also our global partners, and also the other diagnostic support that have been able now to be run through the institute. And most importantly, collaboration with the Ministry of Health, the issues of pandemic response and other outbreaks. So when you look at our training programs, currently we have kind of proposed 4 to begin with, though we'll build on them. And these are largely specialized postgraduate training programs and also postdoctoral fellowships. And for these training programs, let's first begin with the first one. When you talk about health products and technologies, let's try and look at the problem. What problem exists? You may be aware, Winnie, during the COVID-19 pandemic, it really exposed countries. And during the COVID pandemic, there was that urgent need for countries to build that research capacity locally, and also the capacity to come up with, for example, local products that can be able now to, for example, vaccines or even diagnostics, medicine, to support the local population. There was the need to have a infrastructure within and available locally. So through a program of health products and technologies, we want now to train a competent scientist who will be onboarded into these already established research platforms that I mentioned, and it will be a research-led kind of a training model. And the output is for them to come up with tangible products, vaccines, health products and technologies, IPs that can be able now to be scaled up later on. The second program is on molecular biomedical sciences. So molecular biomedical sciences, as you may be aware, currently medicine and also the issues of therapy is really evolving. We are now into the space of precision medicine, stem cell research and all that. We want to fully understand the disease mechanisms, these pathogens, and through this training now we'll be able now to onboard them to our already established stem cell research platforms, our precision medicine platforms, our genomic infrastructure, that they can be able to really understand these diseases, these pathogens, and come up with tangible health products and solutions to address this. The third program is the population health and biosurveillance. So this one was also quite important because as a country, we need to really protect our population with regards to these emerging, for example, epidemics, pandemics, and these are very frequent in this region. So we really need to train competent scientists who will be able to work with the relevant agencies to even respond to these public health emergencies, and not only to respond, but even to predict and put in place measures that can be able to prevent these future outbreaks that will come, because they will have to come. So the training really focuses around this, the modeling around this, the prediction models, and even how do we also work with other partners to respond to this. And lastly is on the program of health systems and preventive sciences. So in health systems, basically is for us now to see what systems do we need, how can we utilize the evidence that we have generated over the years. It is not only about KEMRI, but other players in this field, so that our policies are evidence-informed. They can be able to have that tangible output to the universal health coverage, for example. So through this, we'll be training our fellows now to come up with these evidence-based solutions, working with the relevant partners, with the policymakers to have this in place. So this is a training model which is competence-based and solution-led. And that's now the uniqueness of our programs compared to, which is complementary, because ours are largely specialized, research-led, and will be complement what you already have in the country.
I see that, because different countries have their own challenges and their own solutions to that, and how much important is it to have our own researchers coming up with their own solutions. Go ahead, Professor.
Okay. And first you've asked the question of quality. How do we compare, for example, with the leading universities in the world? And I'll give you a practical example. So I direct a program called IDEAL, Initiative to Develop African Research Leaders, which is hosted within KEMRI, has came all the way from undergraduate attaches who spend time with us to learn about research, actually starting with secondary school graduate, O-level, going to undergraduate attachments, we have a postgraduate diploma in health research methods, going all the way to master's, PhD, and so on. And just to illustrate the kind of quality that KEMRI is able to provide in terms of training, pretty much all the leadership now of a program in KEMRI Welcome have trained through this pipeline. And of those, I think now, as per my last count, we have about 20 professors that have emerged through that training. If you go to Oxford University, the medical division, which is the largest science division in Europe, KEMRI Welcome has generated the largest number of African professors. Pretty much most of the African professors in that division in Oxford University have trained through this program. Therefore, the question of
retaining, very quickly, Prof, if I come to you, because most of the time we see these brilliant researchers, right? Do amazing things, probably train here or train abroad, but then again, leave. And then, right? And then we're left to wonder, okay, do we train more? Do we...
Incidentally, if I may add for a second, just a clarification. So the people I mentioned who are professors at Oxford are still working in Kenya, but appointed at Oxford. So we have the retention. So it is not that we train them, they disappear to Oxford. But they are working in Kenya. They are working within KEMRI Welcome and other places, but they have reached a level where they're recognized by these leading universities in the world. And
that's good. That's good to know. Yes.
I just wanted to stress how important that training program has been for Kenya. And it takes time. It takes a generation to grow a generation, right?
That's true.
And so you have to be patient. I still remember the very early days, because I used to be a PhD student myself in Oxford, when some of the Oxford professors were leaving for Kilifi to set up the partnership with KEMRI. And it was a very exciting time. And so I've been coming and going, not to Kilifi, but to the Center for Global Health Research in Kisumu in Western Kenya. And I can see the change over the last 30 years, and they're dramatic. So when you, maybe up to 10 years ago, the main worry was indeed, no, if they go abroad, they don't come back. Now we see the opposite. It's Kenyans coming back from the diaspora because the exciting research is now happening here
in the country,
right? And so there is a clear change in momentum, and I just want to add as well that the Center for Global Health Research in Kisumu has benefited enormously from the work that is done in another KEMRI center at the coast in terms of that kind of capacity building. And some of the medical doctors that were kind of graduated from the Kilifi Center moved to Western Kenya, and they brought that academic culture with them that did not yet exist in Western Kenya, where it's normal as Kenyan scientists to think about ideas yourself, to write the grant yourself, the protocols yourself. So it's now much more Kenyan-owned research, and these researchers are able to generate large and really important and impactful research grants. And so Western Kenya has benefited from the work done somewhere else in Kenya, and I think we're now reaching a stage where some of the graduates from the center in Western Kenya are moving back to Nairobi or Kilifi, and so Kilifi and the offices in Nairobi are benefiting from what happens in Western Kenya.
Interesting.
And vice versa. So, and I think this is where the charter also is very important, because now it allows KEMRI to have more institutional ownership and show that pathway where it's becoming normal for students or PhD students or postgraduates to move around the country to different centers rather than always
just
having to go abroad.
Okay. I see that. And I mean, Prof, you also you lead the malaria epidemiology section, right, at LSTM, and we know, and especially right here in the country, malaria has been one of those things. It's a big problem, right? So when we're looking at research, what are some of the gaps that probably existed that when we're looking at this partnership, the biggest hope is will come and sort of like close this gap so that we're able to move forward and find solutions like Dr. Martin highlighted earlier on.
Are we allowed to, as international partners, to brag a little bit about the achievements of KEMRI?
I mean, you can. With Dr. Martin's. Dr. Martin says okay.
And so my background is indeed malaria. So I know what KEMRI has done for the continent in terms of research, and I could give you 3 examples. I think the best one is probably insecticide-treated bed nets. And we don't even think about it anymore. Everyone sleeps under a bed net, and I guess many of your viewers have woken up this morning having slept under a bed net, and probably they use it because of the protection against nuisance mosquitoes, but the main reason why bed nets, and there are now 200 million bed nets distributed annually in Africa, was based on research done by KEMRI in Kilifi and in the Center for Global Health Research in Kisumu, which showed for the first time that insecticide-treated bed nets can reduce childhood mortality by somewhere between 25 to 35%. So preventing, let's say, 1 in 4 all-cause deaths under 5 years of age. Major impact of a relatively simple intervention. And 25 years ago, people were not using bed nets because that wasn't known. And I think that research done by KEMRI in partnership with international partners, the studies in Kilifi were funded by the Wellcome Trust. The studies in Western Kenya were funded by USAID, so the US government. Made a big change, not just for Kenya, but for the entire region. So that's one good example. And another good example is the malaria vaccine, which WHO has now approved 2 malaria vaccines. This is what we call the first generation of malaria vaccines. One is called RTSS, and the other one is R21. And again, KEMRI in Western Kenya, where you have a lot of malaria, and KEMRI in Kilifi, where you used to have a lot of malaria, contributed significantly to that research portfolio. Now, there are millions of malaria vaccines being rolled out throughout the whole of Africa, and it's thanks to that research done by KEMRI. And I think it's very important to stress that as an international partner, that KEMRI is truly a regional leader in research. And the third example is malaria and pregnancy, which is the other main risk group of adverse effects of malaria and pregnancy. And again, it's thanks to research done in Kilifi and in Western Kenya that we now know how to prevent malaria in pregnant women.
I see that. And Dr. Martin, what you alluded to earlier on, that we need researchers who would come up with solutions for different needs, not just here in the country, but even across the region. But even as we look to have, this research really empowered, at the same time, what are some of the gaps that probably existed earlier on that you hope this charter will help either strengthen or close or, altogether provide an opportunity as well?
Okay. Thank you so much for that. I will answer that, even linking to what Prof. Feiko even said earlier on, and really showing the great research that has been done by our local scientists, not only in KEMRI, but also in this country. But still focusing a little bit more about KEMRI and even answering to a question, for example, in the COVID-19 pandemic. So actually the AstraZeneca vaccine was developed through work that was previously done on the Rift Valley fever vaccine at the Kenya Medical Research Institute. And this led through that collaboration to come up with the AstraZeneca vaccine, which really led now to really managing this COVID-19 pandemic. When you look at, for example, also other interventions, for example, in cervical cancer treatment, the issues of the HPV vaccine, that clinical trial has been led by our KEMRI scientists and really contributing to that significant intervention with regards to cervical cancer. When you look at the areas of even alternative medicine, that is traditional medicine, very promising, for example, alternative medicine solutions and therapeutics which can really be able to address local health challenges that we have in the country. When you look at also the outputs with regards even to training, churning out over 700 postgraduate fellows and over 120 PhDs over the various times that you have done. What I'm trying to emphasize here is this research is able to be done locally, of course, in partnership with our partners, and this really showcases the capacities that exist. We have very brilliant scientists who are able to draw competitive and also compete globally and get a really good funding that can run these programs. We've been able to have fellows who are even recognized as professors in other institutions, both locally and globally, who are also learning these programs. So this shows the capacities exist, and this shows the gaps that exist, that through the charter award process, we can be able now to really now harness. For example, now we'll be able to have, through these training programs, research-led specialized training programs, to have our own solutions for the local problems. So we'll be able to have our own, for example, health products. We'll be able now to even churn out research scientists who can be able to compete internationally and even build their capacities, from mid-career researchers to independent scientists who can be able to lead some of these research projects. So some of the gaps largely around also IPs to see whether we can have solutions which are locally made and local for the solution, of course, in partnership with our partners.
I see. Thank you. All right, let's take a break, and then when we come back, we'll actually pick up from there and emphasize more in terms of what success looks like, not just for KEMRI here in the country, but even across the region, because I think, like we pointed out, it's not just about here in the country, but across the region as well. How will this benefit researchers as well? So there's so much to come on the other side. Please do stay with us. But if you have a question for this amazing panel, feel free to also send it our way, either on our WhatsApp number or on our digital platforms. We'll be back shortly.
Election year, lies travel faster than truth. Fake news is designed to make you angry or afraid. Before you click forward on that WhatsApp message or post, ask yourself, who sent this? Is it verified? Is it meant to divide us? Don't be a puppet for someone else's propaganda. Verify before you notify.
This week on the Elevate Show, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. As a country, is there anything to celebrate?
We all agree that the mind is the most powerful organ we have.
Yes.
It is the engine, it is the CPU. That's where we are controlling our lives.
Yeah.
But we still disagree whether it needs care.
I think Zulu should talk to his friend, get to the root cause of the problem before slaying a woman for packing and living his life.
I don't want my woman to work as much as me. I will lose my right as the leader. If she provides as much as I provide, alafu nimwambie mchukulie kikombe hapo, niambia hata huko na mikono.
This Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. only on NTV.
We manufacture box profile, Europe tile, Jenga tile, corrugated S profile. To order, call us now on 0111 050 700. Ruiru Mabati Factory, Mali Safi, kwa bei poa. Wagwan fam, if vibes is what you're after, say no more. Non-stop music mixes, killer interviews, fashion, style, and your favorite presenters bringing the heat every single time. We've got everything you need for a good time. Stay locked. NTV, the home of entertainment.
This week on Pishi Bomba.
In order for it to have more flavors, I'm going to also add it to the stew.
Right.
Yes, so I'm going to have this going in here for a while.
We experience different cultures through food. And on this episode, we have a guest chef, Ken Uche, showing us how to make the famous jollof rice.
In Nigeria, there's what we call party jollof.
Okay.
And the household jollof. Party jollof is the one that gets burnt very well. So whenever you're eating it, you're getting that burnt sensation inside.
Yes, it's almost like a smoky flavor.
Exactly.
He's making it with a twist, so you don't want to miss this episode on Sunday at 6:30 p.m. with me, Claire Karatu, only on NTV.
We manufacture box profile, Europe tile, Jenga tile, corrugated S profile. To order, call us now on 0111 050 700. Ruiru Mabati Factory, Mali Safi, kwa bei poa.
Welcome back to the show. Of course, the show continues, even during the break. And just in case you're tuning in right now, we're talking about something that is should be exciting to all of us, really. And this is what is happening at KEMRI, and that is as far as the conferment of degree awarding status. And we're just looking at how important this is, and especially in this day and age, and especially when it comes to contributing towards research amongst so many other things. And during the break, and you know what, it's a good thing that you pointed it out, because now, and the question that you asked, if you were told to draw a researcher, what would you draw? And yeah, I'm amongst those people who draw the what you described earlier on. But we'll be looking at that in just a second, and to see, because the conversation was on school-going children and how important that is. But can we go through one or two feedback, and then we'll continue with the conversation. And this is on our WhatsApp number. So this one says, as a former beneficiary of the IDEAL program under Professor Sam Kinyanjui at KEMRI Wellcome Trust Research Program and Aga Khan University, this is Alma, I view this milestone as a transformative step towards strengthening Africa's research capacity and nurturing a new generation of world-class African scientists. The conferment of degree awarding status to Kenya Medical Research Institute marks a significant advancement in research training, innovation, and higher education in Kenya, positioning the institution to directly shape highly skilled researchers equipped to address pressing regional and global health challenges. Congratulations to Professor Sam, and this is from Samli Nyambu. Okay, all right, thank you. And then this one says, a well-deserved recognition for years of dedication, discovery, and service to global health. Okay. And then this one says, that's good for KEMRI. Looking forward for that PhD. Hey, see, we're asking, how do we on board? And then this one says, it is very positive seeing conferment of degree awarding status of KEMRI. Keep up, looking forward to pursue those PhD programs in the near future. Okay.
Welcome.
And then this one says, I'm excited to see Professor Feiko on board and extremely resourceful scientist. This is Okoth George. Okay, this is exciting. We're all excited about this. But Professor Sam, can we just talk about what we were talking about during the break? And I think this goes to speak more on mentorship, because it's true. If you ask me about researchers, I think it's complicated, it's difficult, it's for certain group of people. But now,
chops, as we used to call them,
right? In school, yeah. So can we really talk about that and why the mentorship program is important?
I mean, we've been talking about developing these postgraduate programs, but one of the questions that we have had to grapple with is, how do you attract young, talented Kenyans, Africans to research? And because a large part of how people make career choices is how well they know about the career, what they have heard about it, they have met somebody, role models. And going back to the conversation we're having at the break, we have a program where we start even with secondary school, and now we're going down all the way to primary to try and promote research as a career. And when we first went, we say to them, okay, can you draw for us what you think a researcher looks like, a health researcher look like? And guess who they drew? They drew Feiko. They drew an old white man in a white lab coat with magnifying glasses, because that is the perception they had.
Even in books, that is what we saw.
Even a lot of what are they called, icons? They tend to be. And so we wanted to show them that actually you can have African, young, female, and importantly, them to understand that health research is not just lab research. Lab research is just one part of health research. So people who did biology, zoology, botany, molecular biology, medicine, and there they are really trying to understand the biology, what you call the biological determinants. So, you know, the way we are created, the way the vectors, mosquitoes are created, the way the bacteria are created, or how they've evolved, whichever word you want to use. That is for those group of people. But then health is not just a biological issue. It's a social issue.
It is,
It's a cultural, it's a poverty, it's an economics issue. So we have what you call in total social determinants of health. And there, again, we have researchers who want to understand that. These are people coming from anthropology. So if you did your Bachelor of Science, BA in sociology, you're very welcome into this area. We're even looking at how people understand, how do you promote health education? You come from education. Because it's not just a matter of going to tell people, inform people. You need people who are expert in communication. So you did a Bachelor of Science in communication, you're part of health. We also want to understand the environmental factors. I think a lot of people understand, for example, that mosquitoes thrive where there is water and temperature. So we have people who want to use mapping skills and what you call modeling, ability to use mathematics to work out where you're most likely going to get malaria transmitting. And these are people who come from maths departments, they come from engineering, they come from computer sciences. So if you're from in those areas, you can be part of health research. Then we have the final part, which is essentially our systems, health systems. How do we structure? Where should you have a hospital? And there are many components of the health systems. There is the people, like how do we train our health workforce? How do we motivate nurses to agree to go to work in a rural area? And sometimes you think it's just salaries. Maybe it's not just salaries, the other motivators. How do we structure, for example, we have had a lot of the debate around NHF, then we moved to SHA, how should it be structured? So if you're in economics, you have done governance, you're BA in administration, you've done logistics, you can also be part of health research. And so when we start with secondary school, primary school, secondary school, undergraduate, these are some of the things we are doing. We are providing them with opportunities to meet people who look like them, who have backgrounds like them. And here I should hasten to add, I come from Kawangware. This is a slum. And we have had opportunity, we have several people now who have come from Kawangware by virtue of knowing, oh, Prof is from Kawangware. So that what do you call it? That self-efficacy, that idea that I can come from Kilifi, one of the poorest districts for a long time, and be a researcher. I can come from Kisumu, Turkana, wherever, and I can also come from different disciplines. I think it's really important.
It's important.
So don't just wait to apply it to KEMRI for your postgraduate if you only did bioscience courses. Social sciences, governance, administrative, engineering, you're all very welcome.
speaking about the interdisciplinary. Yes, I see that. And you talked about opportunities as well, and Prof, Feiko, I think this is for you in terms of looking at this transition. Do you think that it will attract more, and especially when we're looking at international collaborations, grants, as well as investment into Kenya's research?
Yeah, but just to add to one point that Sam mentioned, the back to the drawing of a scientist, right?
Yes.
Because that has clearly changed over time.
Yes.
So in Western Kenya, we realized like 2 years ago that 75 or 80% of the new generation of scientists are female.
Oh, wow.
So it was among them that they said, we may have a problem. Right? The pendulum has swung.
Yeah.
And many of them are busy mothers as well. So I don't know how they do it, but it's that stereotype of what a scientist looked like maybe 20 years ago is completely gone.
And you're talking in maths and computer and data sciences. So even for the females,
it's because we hear this male-dominated. It's no longer that. Yes, but go ahead, Prof. In terms of the opportunities, and will it sort of like attract more international collaborations and grants and whatnot?
I think these international collaborations are really important because no single institute can have it all. So that's true for UK universities and US universities. You're trying to attract the best brains in the world.
That's true.
And they may come from different institutions, and you do that through partnerships.
Yeah.
And I probably also important to stress that these partnerships are not just in the benefit of KEMRI, they are also in the benefit of the partner. It's a clearly two-way street. And to give you an example, in the UK, you have, I think, 157 universities. And every 8 years, they are ranked by quality, called the Research Excellence Framework. Very important because that determines the core funding for the next 8 years. And the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine and the Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine were ranked number 1 and number 2 in terms of the impact of their research. And how did they score so high? Why? Because of the partnerships with, for example, KEMRI. So what I'm trying to say is, these partnerships are not just important for KEMRI, but KEMRI lifts the partners as well. So it's truly a win-win situation. And that's where we're heading with, especially now where a lot of it can be done online. You don't physically have to be present in Kenya to work in partnership. And that I think, especially since COVID, has really changed. It's easier to create partnership. But also in terms of diversification. Now, maybe look at it like an investment portfolio. Are you going to invest just in one promising share and hope for the best, or are you diversifying your portfolio? And so it's probably very healthy for KEMRI to have multiple partners, geographically spread, with access to different sources of grant funding, because we all recognize that grant funding comes in waves. And at the moment, the US is going through a really difficult time where it wasn't sure, wasn't clear how much continued funding was going to come from this new government. Fortunately, I think the grants or the funding for NIH, the US NIH, National Institute of Health, and the Centers for Disease Control have not been cut, which is also good for Kenya, because they have a lot of collaborations with KEMRI. But it comes in waves, so it's good to diversify your partners and therewith diversify the funding streams.
And not to get to a point where everything now grinds to a halt because there's no funding coming in. And we're excited about this charter. Like I said, all of us are excited, and even the people who are watching us like, hey, looking forward to that PhD, right? But can we just speak a little bit in terms of, so then what does success look like following this charter? And the other part to that question is, then do you foresee KEMRI becoming sort of like a model, for other specialized research institutions across the region, in Africa?
Thank you for that question. Before I answer how success looks like, let me just add a little bit about the strength of research collaborations that Prof. Feiko and also Prof. talked about. And that has been a great strength for KEMRI. As of now, we have over 220 local and international international collaborations. And through the work that you have done is through this strength in this collaboration.
Okay.
For example, what I began with, that is the academic excellence with regards to our postgraduate training, is through the strong partnership you have with our local university, Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, University of Oxford, through the deal programs, amongst other universities locally and also globally. Now, when you look also at the issue of the charter as moving on forward, we want to leverage on these well-established research collaborations and also the global and local partners. So part of these training models will be having a lot of, for example, the issues of population health and biosurveillance, a strong collaboration with National Defense University, National Intelligence Research Universities. When you look at also other partners like Nagasaki University, Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine, amongst other partners, basically building on this collaboration, not only for the issue of trade.
I see.
Yeah.
All right.
So moving on to your question, what does success look like? Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier on, even to iterate it further, through this program, we are working towards, or rather the charter is towards KEMRI being a specialized research-led postgraduate training institution. And this is through the PhDs that we'll offer, through the postdoc that we'll offer. And here, what first has to be mapped out, or what you have mapped out, is already the research ecosystem, because KEMRI has really excelled with regards to research excellence through ratings by the Skimago, for example, leading from 2020 up to 2025 with regards to the leading research health institute in Africa with regards to research outputs. So we want to map out the research ecosystem where these fellows will be onboarded into. We want to already have their project well thought through, and also working with the PIs. These PIs who are led these internationally projects that you have seen success for the country, and they be onboarded into this project. So my comment to the fellows who will be coming on, that you will find already well-established systems, well-established ecosystems that have already churned out products in the market, and you'll be onboarded with international competitive research scientists who will hold your hand through. The programs that you'll be kind of pursuing, you will be programs that have been accredited by the Commission for University Education, which have been validated with our stakeholders in mind, the industry, where they will end at the end of the day, and even most importantly, the Kenyan government Vision 2030, universal health coverage, and also the milestones and the strategies that this country has mapped into. So these are programs that are addressing real-world problems, and they are solutions which are locally made, and also for the local challenges that we face. So that will be success, and we really encourage all potential applicants to consider this program as we walk the journey with them.
Has the onboarding begun?
Onboarding currently has not been done. That's the next step. Once we are chartered, that will be the next step.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you said we're waiting for the actual date.
Exactly.
When that will be happening.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Prof, when we look at the success, of this conferment, beyond the researchers, how can the people probably who are watching us, and they're not researchers and whatnot, so how, from where you sit, will they feel, the impact of this conferment? Just common mananchi, how will they benefit from this conferment?
So there are two outputs that will be generated from this conferment. First is the people, well-trained researchers.
Yes.
They will not just work for KEMRI. We train already in excess of what we can absorb. So we will be reinserting these people who will have graduated back into our public universities, into other research centers that are not necessarily KEMRI. And the hope is that the culture, that very strong research culture which prevails within KEMRI will then be taken into our public universities. And I want to be clear here. I'm not saying that there isn't research in public universities, but I also want to be realistic. Our public universities, many of them are punching well below their weight when it comes to research output. Yeah. So we're hoping that we can use and people carry with them the cultures of the training systems where they were trained. And so you hope that that will seed and help promote research beyond KEMRI. So I hope that one of the successes where we are seeing our graduates going out and now forming research group within local universities in the next 5-10 years. as we have seen within KEMRI itself, how people we have trained are now leading research groups within KEMRI. So that's number one. The second, I want to make a clarification, because I find that often this has been a challenge in people understanding what success in research normally means. Research contributes to three areas.
Okay.
It contributes to knowledge. You cannot invent, you cannot develop all products and everything first without having the basic knowledge. When basic is not simple, in science basic means the underlying, the foundation, let me call it the foundation.
Okay.
And the problem with the foundation knowledge, people don't see it. The same way if you look at a building, no matter how tall a building is, there is another, you know, 20 stories down that you don't see, but that building is not going to stand without the foundation. A lot of the research we'll generate will be foundational knowledge, but it's really, really vital.
Okay.
So people tend to ask, but you guys, you don't seem to do anything. Then, over and above that foundation, we'll be able, in many cases, but not all cases, to take that knowledge as KEMRI and then use it either to inform policy or to drive the generation of products.
Okay.
And products here could be biological products, meaning medicine and vaccine, but it could also be educational program, it could be social health programs, it could be how you redesign, for example, SHA. That is a product. You may not see it because it's not on a shelf, but the data and the evidence that will help optimize it is a product. I wanted to clarify that because many times we asked, we don't see a product on, you know, in a pharmacy, in a pharmacy. But and if I may take
in like 10 seconds.
If you look at, for example, the malaria treatment guideline booklet carried pretty much across Africa, about 70% of the evidence that is in that booklet was generated within KEMRI centers.
I see that. And Prof, I know you talked about the power of partnerships, but really, when we're looking at research and locally led research and even research institutions, how important is it for Africa, you know, to lead their own agenda when it comes to research, you know, and even solutions for their populations?
Oh, absolutely
Very
essential. And if we, you know, I've been working with KEMRI for the last 30 years, and I think it's very interesting to look, maybe to peek into the future to understand what this charter means. And what I hope it means is indeed Kenyan-led research and with international partners that is impactful. And that's the key thing. No, Sam mentioned policy, and it's really what you want to achieve with research is improving health of poor populations, and often that works also through the World Health Organization, so influencing WHO policy, which then often translate into more regional, so continent-wide implications for health. And I think the other element of the charter, which I hope, if we are allowed to look into the future, is that KEMRI transitions from sort of a renowned research institute to an institute that is now combining research and education, equivalent to a university. And by doing that, attracting African scientists, not just from Kenya, but from the region, and becoming a regional hub and sort of the place to go to in the sort of the next 10 to 20 years, where people recognize, KEMRI, Kenya. Let me spend a few years in Kenya. And so you're attracting the best brains in Africa.
I say that. And in closing, Dr. Martin, in terms of just understanding, yes, we're excited, and we hope that we'll have more researchers coming on board, and we'll not have the, you know, stereotype researchers and what they look like and what not. What would be your message to the people who are watching us today in terms of what this means for not just the researchers, but even us as a people, us as a country, and even us as a region, in like 30 seconds or so?
Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity. Yes, first to the general public, just to let them know that Kenya Medical Research Institute has met the stringent requirements by the Commission for University Education, the Universities Act, which now recognizes research institutes. Are really excited to be at this moment to be able now to support trainees and fellows to really grow into those independent research scientists, to be able to to contribute meaningfully to the challenges that we really face as a country, to be able to work in ecosystems that are already have those experience with regards to leading this excellent research, being able to have this experience in training, and be able now to have those local solutions to the local problems that we have. So it's a really excited moment for the country, and we really encourage our fellows to consider applying for these programs to contribute to the growth of the economy and for the betterment of the region.
Absolutely, and based on the feedback that we've gotten, Professor Sam as well as Professor Feiko, I really do not want to butcher, but forgive me today, Prof. As an infectious diseases researcher and lead at KEMRI, and also from Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine program. Thank you so much, and all the very best, really. And we also say thank you for staying with us and for your feedback as well. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place, right here on Your World. Until then, stay safe and God bless. Goodbye.
Kenya's taxation landscape is rapidly evolving. Administration has been tightened with income and expenses validation, and taxpayers are increasingly interfacing with technology as the tax authority seeks to plug in existing gaps and rope the vast informal economy into the tax radar. This is why the Nation Media Group is organizing the Tax Symposium, taking place on the 19th of May this year, bringing together government, private sector, civil society, and the legislature to deliberate on the state of the tax administration environment and the way forward. Book the dates and join us.
This week on The Glam, we're taking you straight to the heart of Ethiopian fashion, Shiro Meda.
So I have 4,700 shillings to spend here at Shiro Meda. So let's see what we're going to get.
But beyond the shopping, we're also diving into the story behind Shiro Meda, how tradition, craftsmanship, and modern fashion all come together in one vibrant space.
Beautiful. I love the color. I like the length too. Very good for holiday.
Catch the full episode this Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. only on NTV.
The Glam, brought to you by the new Nivea Derma Control Deodorant.
Our bodies get serums and washes, but underarms only get deodorant. That's why our new breakthrough formula has pure hyaluron and vitamin C to deeply care for your underarms for soft and even skin tone in 2 weeks. With 72-hour sweat and odor protection, try the new Nivea Derma Control range because your underarms deserve more. Nivea is for skin.
Alikuweka kiganjani ili afanye yake. Amekuweka kiganjani vipi?
You look disappointed. Why?
Ninaangalia tu.
Hii wedding si ya kuprove anything to anyone.
Maybe to it's not, but to me it is.
Usini madam wakati wewe umenifail kwa mara nyingine.
Unafanya nini huko?
Ulipatia pili recording.
For fast relief from strong pain like headache, toothache, and muscle pain, and can get to work in 10 minutes so that I am ready to be there for those who need me. Stronger pain relief at only 20 shillings per pair.
NTV, reimagining your world. The following program has been rated GE. It is therefore suitable for general family viewing.
Ajabu. This is a very powerful song, and we will do it together. Are you ready? Okay.